Stop your grinning and drop your linen. Welcome back to Project Geekology, episode 132. We're covering aliens. Plural. Multiple aliens. I started this with a line from the film. I know it's a little crass, but I felt it was in good fun. Guys, I'm really excited to dive back into the world of Alien. My name is Dakota, and I am joined as always with...
Anthony. It's game over, man. It's game over. And we are joined, as always, with...
Rich. I am just so excited to talk about a bad guy, Paul Reiser. Just shocking information, guys.
It had to happen. Had to happen eventually. Yeah, so this is a very different movie from the last one. Last time the three of us were together, we were discussing the almost Lovecraftian horror, The Fear of the Unknown, which is Ridley Scott's first Alien movie. And this is a very different movie by a very different director, but a director that kind of gels well within this universe that Ridley Scott helped create. This one is helmed by James Cameron. I'm a big fan of James Cameron's. This very, very different director, and you know, he has his strengths and he has his weaknesses, and I think both of them are on display in this movie. But at the end of the day, I think it's safe to say that James Cameron knows how to show you a good time. You know, no matter what, you're gonna be incredibly engrossed in what's happening on screen.
Hey everyone, this is Future Anthony, and if you want to skip the what we've been up to discussion, head on over to 8 minutes and 4 seconds, and that is when the main discussion begins.
Rich, what the heck have you been up to lately?
Well, I would say that last week I kind of hit the ground running because I started coaching cross-country track last week, and we started school this week, so kind of been taking up a lot of my time. But of course, as we spoke about off air, I'm still continuing my pursuit of finishing Smallville as quickly as possible. So I'm in season 8. I will just tell loyal listeners, guys, I still feel that Lana's the villain. So one day we'll circle back to this, but Lana Lang is the villain of Smallville. But what have you been up to this week?
I'm gonna just rebuff that just a little bit, because I think Rich is the only person in existence who has this particular outlook on Smallville. But it's a fresh one. There's no such thing as bad opinions, but there are wrong ones in my book. Anyway, Anthony, what do you?
I think that's the other way around, Dakota. There are definitely bad opinions.
Listen, when you guys get to season 8, all right, come back to me and tell me that you don't.
We'll come back.
She's the villain.
Look. I was at season 8 at one point in my life, okay, and season 9 and season 10. All right. Enough with the pissing contest.
Anthony, what have you been up to?
I have been up to. What have I been up to? Well, actually, I've kind of been doing some professional stuff. So this week my job is kind of doing a test run of trying to prove to our higher ups that we need to keep some of our contractors on full time, because if we don't have them, then the queue will be gone. So they took 5 of us out of the queue for this week just to test that theory. And I would say so far, it's kind of proven them right that we do need them. Because if they go in January, we'll kind of get swamped, particularly on earlier in the weeks, Monday or Tuesdays if we were off for a holiday. But yeah, so I've been kind of taking this opportunity to kind of work on some certifications that I've been wanting to do. Right now I'm working on one called the AZ900. It's just the Azure fundamentals. Azure is a cloud system that businesses use for for various different things, for whatever it is that they need. And I know that, my job, the bank, we use Azure for various, different things, profiles and whatnot. But so I've been trying to kind of work on getting certifications, kind of build up my knowledge base and, kind of bolster up what I know. And, I'm getting the experience. So now I want to get the certifications that kind of back that up. And, you can start to command a bit more money when you start getting that stuff in. I mean, you would know, Dakota, you had worked on something recently, kind of not really in a similar vein, but just kind of trying to get to the next level. And I know that helps out with pay.
The journeyman, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I was racking my head like, what did I do?
And
then I remembered,
the
yeah,
journeyman
the
test.
electrical-
Did you ever hear
yes.
back from that? You never like told us.
Oh, I passed. I passed. I
Okay,
did.
yeah.
Sorry,
I know
I
you said
totally
that you
forgot.
felt like you did.
I passed. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I got the score that I thought I got, which I'm happy about.
Sweet. So yeah, I'm kind of like mapping out what I want to do, and I'm working towards that. And my supervisors, they said that like like, hey, look, if the director kind of sees that you're working on these different certifications and they see that you're trying to improve yourself, they may actually offer to pay for you to take these certification tests. Because like some of these tests, I don't know if I'm pretty sure the one that you took probably cost money, but some of these certifications, they cost anywhere from like $100 to a few or so $100.
Could be a couple $100. Yeah,
Yeah,
for certifications. Yeah.
So-
no, it's no joke.
So yeah, no, I'm working on that. Obviously, before I actually take the test, I'm gonna do example tests and whatnot to kind of feel better about taking the actual test before I spend the money. But it'll be cool if I do get kind of backed by my job to cover, some of the certifications. That'd be awesome. But really, that's mostly what I've been working on, aside from just watching Aliens and, just on my One Piece trek. I had taken a couple weeks off of One Piece, but I've been hopping back on it again.
Rich is shaking his head. He can't believe anyone would take a break from a TV show.
Right, yeah.
His
Baby.
watch.
Yeah. Well,
That's
not
why
all
he
of
can't
us.
start One Piece. Otherwise, he'd
Yeah, man. I'm
he'd
sorry.
crash out hard.
I can't hold on to something like that. I like to go out I like to savor. I'm not racing. Like for what? So
the Flash, baby.
that's my thing, man.
He's like the Flash, man. That's awesome, bro.
But yeah.
This isn't a bad thing. It happens regularly on my job, but I got laid off. So I am a free agent for a little while, so I have a little time off of work. As an electrician, especially a union electrician, this isn't really a big deal. Eventually I'll get picked up by another company. Sometimes it's a longer wait than other times, but it's a good opportunity for me to catch up on some of my work online, which I've kind of put on the back burner a little bit while I've been at work. So that's a good thing. But because I am off, I am doing an impromptu trip tomorrow morning to Miami, Florida, because my grandmother's in the hospital.
Sorry to hear that, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to be down there for a couple days. It's not going to be like a fun trip. It's just going to be family and stuff. So, Anthony, if I have some free time, I will hit you up. But if not, please don't feel bad.
No. Yeah, man. Well, I mean, you know, I know how you feel. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
So,
Yeah.
It is
family.
It is what it is. But guys, I think enough time has passed, and we better get back because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come out at night. Mostly. We need to talk about aliens. I don't know if you guys caught that. It's one of my favorite quotes from
Aliens.
Newt Scamander.
Yep. Newt Scamander. What are our thoughts on aliens, folks? Anthony, let's start with you.
Well, this movie, I mean, like you said, it's a lot different. We went from a horror movie to an action movie, and
It's a complete 180, yeah.
right, yeah. It's completely different. You go from the slow, gradual build up to the reveal in Alien to, Space Marines, kind of, just shooting a bunch of these xenomorphs. See, and then so this one, this is where you get the name xenomorph.
Yeah, they
actually say it
didn't
in
really
this one.
explain why they called it a xenomorph. I'm reading the novelization now so that I can try to make sense out of how they came up with the name, because it's such a strange name to just start calling this species that nobody except Ripley, at least in this sphere, has seen. I'm very confused about it. So I'm eager to see what becomes
didn't
of
she-
that.
It would make sense down the line when you actually get to the part where you see them, like in other movies where, I mean, you kind of talked a little bit about it, where you start to see different types of xenomorphs. So that's where it makes sense, because the xeno kind of being like alien and then the morph, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're coming from. I guess maybe they're saying it because of how they, how they kind of come from the face hugger to impregnate into a person, and I guess they kind of morph into a humanoid type of creature, unless there's knowledge that isn't explained, like meta or outside knowledge that is not explained in this movie. But it's interesting. When I was watching this movie, I was like, yeah, the movie Starship Troopers definitely got inspiration from this movie. Definitely got inspiration from this movie. The Marines were like the same, you know. I was like, okay, like I was like, man, why does this feel so like familiar? And like that's where I got it. I was like, okay, so they pulled a bit from this. So it was interesting. Man, Ripley is just like, and she's a badass in like all these movies.
In pretty much all respects, yeah.
Yeah,
Rich, you were gonna say something about the xenomorph.
Didn't Ripley? So I know it was in that dream, and I don't believe this was revisited. But when she was in the dream before the xenomorph pops out of her stomach, she's talking to the Paul Reiser guy, and he says that, well, you've been asleep for 57 years.
Yeah.
Right? And I know that she snapped out of the dream sequence, but I took it to be that she's been asleep for 57 years. So we do find out that he knows about this alien and wanted to bring it back, essentially, for the company again. So I think that they would have developed a name for it. Like, at least the company has a name for it.
Right. I guess the in-film logic I'm trying to understand. By the way, 57 years thing is the canonical time jump between film. Right. Yeah. So that is to be taken as factual. They explore that more in the novel, and I believe that they explore it more in the special edition, which adds like I think 15 to 20 minutes more footage. So I'll watch that and get back to you guys when we cover Aliens 3 next. But the in-film logic behind the name Xenomorph, she does explain herself a couple times plenty of times to that tribunal that they have, basically incriminating her for the destruction of the Nostromo. And they don't believe her. But that's the thing, they don't believe her about the alien. There's no evidence of this existing. So in the novelization, they claim that someone tampered with the files, or like Ripley believes someone tampered with the files because there should be plenty of documentation of this thing on board, which there was. But whatever, they don't really show that in the movie. Anyhow, that's why I'm a little bit confused about why they suddenly have a name for it, because if they didn't believe her, but then I guess they had to have believed her when they went back to the planet, you know? It's just interesting. Yeah, I want an explanation, and I don't currently. I don't know. That's what's eating me away. Go ahead.
I guess. You know what it is? I think that I watch so many movies like this that I will, for some reason, explain away something pretty quickly. I'm like, all right, cool. Just with these action movies, like, if you just give me a little nugget, I'll kind of like... Because in my head, like, Paul Reiser's character is, like, part of, like, the... R&D or whatever. Like, he's on a mission from, like, that not everybody knows about. So I could see how the tribunal would be like, we don't know what you're talking about, but, he does. Like, they've been doing secret testing or something in the span of these 57 years.
Very much could be, yeah. Anthony, final thoughts on the xenomorph discussion?
We're going to see a lot of them in this movie.
Yes, we will.
And a giant queen one.
Yeah, we get a new one. Rich, what are your thoughts on this movie overall? I know you talked a little bit about it before we started the show, but what are your thoughts going into this movie as opposed to the last film?
I just think that, so Ridley Scott spoke about how I admired the craft, but it wasn't really my type of movie. This was my type of movie. This was definitely, I'm an 80s action guy. This followed all the beats of my 80s action. Like, one of my favorite parts about this movie is so ridiculous. So she becomes like a dock loader, right? And she starts working those machines, right? and when she gets on the ship and she's like, I can help out, I can do something. And they're like, can you? And she goes and she starts working the lift machine, right? Which those look like these cartoons that I used to watch, these Mecha Warriors or something. And it was in space, and these guys would like get into these suits and like fight in very exosuits or something like that. It was called
Gundam.
No, it was an Americanized version of it on Channel 11 when I was growing up. I'll have to dig a little deeper, but I was so excited when she got into it, and I said in my head, if this is the type of action movie that I love. She's gonna do some bad A stuff with those that mechanism. And man, as it's going along, I'm like, maybe it's not gonna happen. And then she finally gets to use it. Oh man, that to me wraps up the movie perfectly. Like, that's how I feel about it. I was so happy. There's stuff that annoy me, like, why is Newt the only human in the history of interaction with these aliens that doesn't get implanted? Like, just, oh yeah, we're just gonna store her later, like.
I think she just stayed away from them. She kind of realized what the people who survived A Quiet Place realized. Shut up.
Oh no, I mean,
stay quiet.
No, but I mean when
Don't
she
move.
gets taken by the.
When
she gets taken back to the nest, whatever. I'm like, come on.
I think it's timing. Like, I think she literally just got placed there, and one of those facehugger things hadn't been birthed yet. That's my understanding of that.
Okay, accepted. I'm fine with that now. I really like this one. I know we're only 2 in, but this is my favorite installment by far.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think Dakota's right. It's not like hours went by. I think there's like minutes, So
yeah, because it was something like she had 19 minutes by the time that she realized, oh, I still have time to go grab this girl. And
yeah.
So it was something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, man. This movie definitely, they tried to put some of the creepy vibes in it. Especially when obviously in true Project Geekology form, we're going to be bouncing around a lot, but the part where the aliens were in the roof and like the motion tracker was like tracking a bunch of them,
Yeah.
So like that was like the moment where, they were trying to add like that creepy, like they're like, okay, this is Alien. We have to have something creepy in here. So I think that was like the attempt for it. And I mean, like it was crazy when he like opens up the panel up on the roof and you just see all those xenomorphs up there. I'm like, yeah, it's time to go.
And they're creepy, man. They are just inherently, they're always somehow super juicy. Speaking of which, gonna pause the podcast. You, listener, have not rated our podcast a 5-star juicy review yet. You need to give us a 5-star juicy review. Otherwise, we're just gonna stop talking.
Think xenomorph. Dude,
No,
they really are always like...
They're always so moist. What's up with this? Every surface.
Dude,
I was rewatching
it's funny
Alien
because
1
sometimes
today.
it's like running water, dude. Like, what is
crazy?
What's
Where's
happening?
it coming from? Yeah. I was watching Alien 1 today, and there's this scene where she enters the shuttle at the end of the movie, and, there's just that alien tucked away napping in a corner. And there's a slow shot of its hand, like, lifting up from the computer terminal. And it's just like, this guy was... Whoever the actor was literally dipped his hand in Vaseline or something and just like smeared it It was the craziest amount of fluid I've ever seen for a hand. So anyway, these guys are juicy. They are the juiciest things we've ever encountered on Project Ecology.
Yeah, but it's not the good kind of juicy though.
It's not, but
it's
it could
acidic.
It could be if you give us a 5-star juicy review. So please,
Yes, give us
be sure to-
the non-acidic.
The non-acidic version, yeah. So I have yet to properly give my take on this movie. I really enjoy it. This is the one that I think is kind of the quintessential Alien movie in a way. Even though you need the first movie to watch this one, this is the adventure. This is where the hobbits finally go to Mordor, this is where it all goes down, and it's a totally different vibe. But coming at it, which is weird that I'm saying this because Aliens was always my favorite one. But I'm going to have to actually say, coming at it as, an adult that has been critiquing movies for about a decade now, I have to edge out for the original Alien by Ridley Scott. I do believe this has the more exciting story. This has the more engagement. But pound for pound, when I watch Alien, I'm like, oh, wow, that's an incredible shot. Oh, wow, that was such a cool effect. Oh, wow, how did they do that? When I'm watching Aliens, I'm thinking, all right, let's get the job done. Let's go to the next scene. Let's go here. Let's go there. it's a totally different vibe, and I feel like, yeah, I do think Ridley Scott is the better visual director, and that's actually kind of why I like the new film that came out recently, Alien Romulus, is because it has the adventure aspects of Aliens, but it also has the horror and the dread that you get from Alien 1. And Fede Alvarez, the director of that one, did such a tremendous job, in my opinion. I can't wait till we cover that one. And yeah, I'll talk about that more when we get there. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you because I feel like Alien does need that creep factor, right? And you don't really get that much in this one. Not the way that you do in the first one. And a lot of that has to do with the shots, right? You get the close-ups, the utilization of darkness. There's darkness in this one, but this one is pretty much a pure action movie. Yes, it is the movie that's a bit more fun to watch because there is a lot going on. And when you think about the Alien series, I think about this one and the third one. And there's a couple of shots that always make me think of the series. And the second one, it's Ripley and that exoskeleton.
Yeah.
I always think of that. And then the third one is Ridley looking away with the xenomorph like right up on her. Yeah. And we'll talk more about that next week. But, that's what I'm saying. Like, when I think of the Alien series, I think mostly of Aliens and then Alien 3 because of some of these shots. But it was nice going back to see that first one. And from what it seems is like the director of Romulus wanted the best of both worlds when it came to Alien and Aliens, because you don't want an almost 2-hour slog fest. You got to have some sort of like adrenaline, especially nowadays, right? And you do have to, even with all the shots and stuff, you do go a very long time in the first one with like mostly dialogue. It's like dialogue.
Oh yeah.
And so it can be a little bit of a slog in that first one, but once that build up happens and the stuff starts to happen, that's where the genius really happens in the film.
And I think Aliens, the second one, I hate the titling structure of these movies. I've always hated them. I feel like it's hard to it's so easy to just say Alien or Aliens and miscommunicate which one you're talking about. I'm talking about the sequel, the squeakquel. Aliens, plural.
Is that a reference to the Chipmunks movies?
Perhaps. Deep Cut. It's a movie I've never even seen before. I just like the term squeakquel.
Oh, I have, sir.
Oh, I bet you have, Rich.
That is going to be the movie we are covering next week.
That would be amazing.
You thought we were covering Alien 3? No, it is going to be Alvin and the Chipmunks, the first movie.
No, the squeakquel. We just jump right in.
So we're just going to completely jump over the first one. We're just going to go straight to the squeakquel.
I don't need. It's not like Aliens where I need the first movie to understand that these talking chipmunks are going to get into some trouble or something. I don't even know what that's about, guys. So what I was saying is Aliens, the second one, it requires. Sorry, it doesn't require. It's kind of the movie that the rest of the series kind of anchors on. Like it helps explain what happens in the first movie, and it definitely moves the plot forward towards the third and fourth movies. And I think that is a huge role that this movie plays. It gives us a lot of information, tells us what the xenomorphs are, tells us how their breeding cycle works. Because in the first movie, we didn't know that there was another step before the eggs. We just kind of assumed that somehow eggs disappeared, or it was like a monosex species where like it was neither male nor female. It just reproduced by itself. We didn't know. We didn't have any answers. Now we have some answers. So I do give James Cameron some serious props. He did expand on the universe quite a bit. We didn't have a name for the planet that they were on. Now it's LV-426. And what else?
Did I miss this? So the we're supposed to believe that the alien, they got to LV, in the original, they got to LV
426. Yeah.
They land. The alien is actually on a ship, not on the planet itself. Ripley believes that all of them are killed, and that's what we see at the end. She wakes up, and they've had a colony there, and they haven't had any prior incidents to like right after she happens to wake up.
So they don't explain it super well in the film, and I don't think they explain it very well so far in the book that I'm reading. But we do know that there were other eggs on the alien ship, the derelict ship, in the first movie. We saw that, Kane only goes up to one of the eggs, and that's the one that has the facehugger pop out and, give him a kiss. We don't know that there are thousands. She claims that there are thousands on this planet in that derelict ship, but we only see maybe a dozen from the first movie. Okay. But we know that there are others because we only saw the single alien on their ship, the Nostromo. So she's worried that, these aliens are still out there. They need to bomb the hell out of that place. Whatever. They don't believe her. They've already sent a team of people to explore the planet. We don't know how close they are on the planet to the derelict ship. So it's possible they don't ever really encounter it. We don't know how the aliens broke out of that cycle and found fresh meat, meat's back on the menu at this place, but we don't know how that happened. Anthony's just
I was waiting for that reference to come up. It was either going to be Dakota or Rich.
I love it so much. How do they even know what a menu is?
These aliens are well fed. I'll just put it. They go to the finest restaurants this side of LV 426.
That queen is well fed.
How did she get that big? How did she get that belly? Don't know. Oh, let's talk about the queen. We've danced around the topic of the queen a little bit. What a crazy concept. I love the scene where Ripley has just saved Newt. She's looking around. Anthony, actually, your background is that scene where Ripley is in the midst of all of those eggs, and she holds all the firepower in her hands. The queen basically tells all of her grunts to leave because, she doesn't want Ripley to do anything stupid. Ripley goes and could have just made an easy escape. There was some mutual appreciation of what her firepower was capable of. And then Ripley turns around and just you know what? Nah. And just flame blasts everything. Starts blowing chunks out of the queen to the point where the queen just rips her own abdomen off and starts chasing her up the ship. It's crazy. It's wild.
This movie is crazy. Yeah, that's why I picked that because that scene, it was funny because Ripley gave essentially a warning shot, look, I have this. She sprayed the flamethrower kind of in the air, and the queen kind of made that shriek and then waved off the other xenomorph grunts. And man, when she just turned around, torched it, I was I was thinking the same thing. I was man, she could have probably gotten out of there. But then again, after she left, the queen would have just sent them right after her. So she was yeah, you know what? I'm just going to take some down with me,
Yeah. Rich, what are your thoughts on the queen?
It's just so great because it feels this is only my second one, and it's only, I've watched now, twice for the first one and twice for the second one. You really get the feeling oh, it's over, right? She did it. The day's over. And then it's nope. And I kind of love that feeling because it was the same when I was watching the first one. When she gets into the shuttle, and I'm so bad about this. I really wish I had better self-control, but I do like to compulsively check how much time is left in something. I'm not sure if this is because Game of Thrones broke me so much where I was you're gypping us of more content. But I tend, especially if we're going to review something sometimes, or if I'm going to teach something, I really want to know how much time is left because I'm trying to figure out what story beats they can possibly do next, right? And the first one, since I didn't know anything,
sure, she
gets in the shuttle and I'm tapping the screen. And I'm just that's weird. I mean, what exactly is gonna... Oh! So I was waiting after she got Newt, right? I was that was a little too easy. I'm like, something's got to happen. And I was so happy when I saw the queen. And when she rips herself off, like in half, and runs, it's just insane. And I was creeped out by her, although I wasn't. It reminded me of like these cave dwellers in the Skyrim series, these chitlin or something, like kind of these underground scorpions that attack you. And it was kind of very reminiscent of that. And man, I've played enough video games. Like, I knew Riley was going to turn around. Like, you gotta torch the eggs. Like, that's like heroing 101. You know, if you see a batch of bad guy eggs, you gotta burn them. So, yeah, it's not exactly the artistic level of the last one, but man, it's just a rip-roaring good time.
It's a fun movie. It is. That is something James Cameron is so good at, especially when it comes to, you know, like, as soon as there's something to protect, he protects it with his life, you know?
When Paul Reiser, like, ends up locking the doors as he's running away, I was like, he better get his just desserts. And then, like, he gets cornered. I'm like, that's what you get, Paul Reiser. I thought you were a good guy who took care of a girl with another guy, but no.
It was crazy. He totally turned against everything that he promised. She, in the beginning of the movie, was just like, all right, only if you promise that we're going to blow these things to hell, or something along those lines. I don't remember the exact phrase. And he's just like, you have my word. And then, like, midway through the movie, the bishop, the synth, or the android, he goes, wait a minute, but Burke told me to do the exact opposite. He wants to bring us one of the specimens home. And she just looks at him like, you MFer. Yeah, no, it definitely, it is a really funny betrayal. And it's just corporate greed. It's just literal corporate greed to it's like late stage capitalism, you know? This is what happens.
And I don't want to pigeonhole actors, but did you, like, Anthony, have you seen, I don't know about you, but like anything else I've seen this actor in, Paul Reiser, he's a good guy, right? So I actually, like, bought into his charisma and shtick. I was like, he's a good guy. Like, am I the only one who didn't see this coming?
Let's look up some movies that we might have seen him in.
It's like, you know, here we go again. You know, we got Ian Holm all over again. Like, these people want to bring this freaking creature back home, man. But it's tough because, I mean, but like, honestly, after everything that they've gone through, you know, it's like at that point, I'd be like, man, forget this. I don't give a dang what the company says. Like, these things are insane. Like, why would I bring this back? You know, but like, still, no. Duty is duty. Honestly, to tell you the truth, bro, I'm the kind of person that, like, if I saw something that was like insanely crazy that was gonna get me killed, I don't care if I get fired. I'm out of there. I'm blowing these things up.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and I think that's just a running theme throughout all of Alien. It's just like,
dude, these people just want the money.
They want the money. They, for some reason, they need it for this weapons program, man. But
well, I mean, what's that money gonna do if you're dead? And that's what happens.
Anthony, you brought something up that I find really interesting, just on a lore and almost like a theological or thematic level. You called it the company because they call it the company. You know, everyone is owned by this company. They never say the name aloud in the movie, but we do see that, you know, it's, again, so like they have Weyland Yutani all over the first movie, and now they have Weyland. They've added a D for some reason in this movie. Weyland Yutani. It's all over the background of that movie. And they've got a new logo and everything, and that's the logo that is continued throughout the rest of the series. But they don't ever name the company, Weyland Yutani, out loud. And it's just almost like a reverent, the company, capital C, you know, like they're all beholden to the company. You know, everything that they do is for the company or, you know, against the company in Ripley's case. And another thing that they still don't do is in the theatrical cut, I don't believe they ever call her Ellen Ripley. I think she's still Ripley throughout the entire movie.
Even the credits, actually, I wanted to pay attention to that, and the credits, others have two names. She's still just Ripley.
She's still just Ripley. It's the most bizarre. This one I actually don't really understand, because in the novelization and the special edition, they do call her Ellen a couple times. But for some reason, they kept that out of the theatrical cut, and maybe that's just an homage to how she's like utilized in the first movie, or the role that she plays, or the character that she plays. Another thing that I didn't even touch in this movie is that Ellen Ripley had a daughter on Earth, and that was a big plot of the special edition. She was really hurt that she missed out on the entire life of her daughter because she was in cryosleep for.
Wait, does her daughter
57
die
years.
like while she's in cryosleep?
Just shortly before.
Oh,
she wakes up.
That's really a bad luck. I mean,
I know it's almost as if it's written that way.
Well, maybe because Ripley just sounds cooler.
Ripley does sound. I mean, yeah, Ripley.
Ripley. I mean, like. And that's exactly what she does. She Ripley's them a new one,
Believe it or not, she Ripley's.
I was waiting for the next pause.
Sorry. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I'm taking all the good quotes today, guys. I'll hold back from now on. Yeah, let's talk about the Marines, because there's a lot of fun that is to be had with the Marines. I think the actor who clearly had the most fun was Bill Paxton. It's game over, man. It's game over. This guy was throwing a fit the entire movie. As soon as anything happened, for the next hour and a half, this guy was sweating bullets, crapping his pants. He was jumping all over the place. He was the most fun person to watch. And, you hate him because he's such a loser. He's all talk, no walk, basically.
See, I held him up as I was like, if I had signed up to be a Marine,
sure,
okay,
yeah, go ahead.
And then that happens, I'm here to fight people, space cannons, whatever. This was, I mean, woo, I don't blame. I love the actor. He's.
I know. I love Bill.
He's great in
Paxton.
weird
He's so
science.
good.
I love him. I think he brings the levity to it. He's like the only guy who could have. I'm sorry, not proximity, but the tracker, whatever that they had, the motion detector. I kind of like that he was in control. He was in control of that. That was his role. I like when you kind of need an analog for the audience and a little bit of a safety valve.
I agree.
He's like because in the first one, I mean, yeah, obviously you have the issue with Mr. Robot over there sneaking everything on, and he's kind of pulling the strings behind. But this is more of obviously a trained military unit, that they signed up for this. But I still feel like when there's something completely out of the ordinary, like if a cop gets called to an accident and shows up and there's a dragon there, like I don't blame him if he pieces out and it's like, I'm not doing this. Like I signed up to be a cop. I don't deal with dragons,
That's fair. There's a line that I love by Newt where, Ripley tries to comfort her and say, it's okay, we have trained Marines now. And she goes, that's not going to make any difference. And it's true. It doesn't make any difference. Like they were no better off than the crew members of the Nostromo. What are your thoughts on it?
I would say that they weren't, it didn't make any difference due to sheer volume, but they did kill quite a few.
True.
They were I would say that they were trained well, but how do you train to fight against something you've never fought before? It's different. And then, they kill a few, and then it's like you also don't win when you kill one, because if you get sprayed by their juices, you start to burn. It's.
I think half of all the injuries in this movie were burns. Yeah, self-inflicted burns from being too close to them when you popped one. Yeah, no, it's also we're not really sure if they kill the aliens. Even we assume that headshots are headshots and that's gonna down them, but we don't actually ever see the bodies after the fact. So it's entirely possible that these are just getting back up.
They're juicy, man. They just turn into juice. It's like if you shoot a watermelon,
That's a good point.
You know what they do is that they melt down, and then they become a part of other xenomorphs, and then just make them juicier.
Is that what happened with the Queen?
Yes.
I just see Anthony excitedly lean into his mic. Yes.
And I mean, and I thought the original commander of the unit, he's just so deliciously ridiculous and caricature like, all right, we're gonna move out, like, no wasting time, ladies. I just love that drill sergeant-y thing. And I think his second in command, isn't that like John Connor's dad from Terminator? They just had a great cast here.
Second in command, yes, actually.
So I was like, whoa, guys! I couldn't figure out Vasquez. I know she's been like a tough chick in another movie, but I couldn't figure out which one. But the casting I thought was really good too.
That might be Terminator as well. Wait a minute. Vasquez, aliens.
Oh, wait a minute. Is she in Terminator 2?
She might be the mom
who gets taken over, like the trailer park mom.
Oh my god!
Don't tell me.
Hold up.
The world is incredible.
Wait, I can't find it. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh no, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Yeah, no, dude. So that's the great thing about James Cameron. He's one of those directors that, like, when he finds people he likes, he's gonna bring them on for their next project. And that's what he did. He brought the parents of John Connor right into Aliens.
Amazing.
And they play entirely different characters. Vasquez is so crazy.
Insane.
Like, she's such a powerhouse. For no reason. She's the juggernaut. She's literally, like, in the front of the line with a machine gun, basically. And she's towing the line. It's crazy.
I feel like the only thing that was missing was, like, her carrying two of them. Two of the machine guns, just like mowing them down. Like, dude,
so she does at some point. She carries the big gun and the
like pulse
tractor.
Rifle.
Yeah, no, she has the motion tractor in
one
arm,
yeah.
And so it looks like she's double fisting weapons, but like it's crazy.
Yeah, dude, it really is like when you watch this movie, it really is a classic '80s like action movie. I mean, just that over-the-top, like, action, it fits so well for the time period that it came out in, And it's just, it's a fun watch, man. Like, you just see them just over-the-top, just, just saying all these lines that you would never really hear in a movie nowadays. I think the only thing that, the only time you hear...
James Cameron thing. I think those corny lines are staples of James Cameron, because even up to the Avatar: The Way of Water... Like, that's the one thing that people, like, really had to gripe about was James Cameron still has those corny one-liners. But, like, that's what make movies, man.
What's funny is that there's a game, and I know it's a digression, but it kind of, like, it fits in with this. There's a game called Helldivers 2, and the characters in the game, they say nothing but corny one-liners all the time. Like one of the lines that they'll say, and it always makes me laugh because how corny it sounds. But like, say that you're shooting down some of these, like, aliens or like, whatever's robots, and they'll say like, how about a cup of liberty? Isn't that a James Cameron like line that you would hear?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, so another James Cameron thing that I'd be remiss to leave out is the fact that he loves putting like military types in his movies, whether it be The Abyss, the Terminator movies, Avatar definitely. Mm-hmm. Avatar even has like ex-Marines, like fronting the workforce of the RDA. These are company Marines paid for by the company. So he loves this visual energy of a military workforce. And he uses them very often. And I think that's part of what makes his movies stand out as his movies. It's just part of his visual storytelling. And I love that.
I love 80s action movies. Sometimes what I love about them is like the little thing that I told you guys earlier with the exoskeleton, right? They do tend to have those moments that do pay off. There's like a reward for you paying attention and wanting to see what's going to happen with that. And they do those little kind of Easter eggs. I just, the one-liners, I love this. Just was really great. I like Jim Cameron movies. I mean, Terminator 2 is one of my fondest memories as a young child. I think was like I remember being amped for when that came out. Like, so amped, and that epic rhythm is even translated to wrestling, where there was a group that they used to set up this big move where they do double dives on the outside, and they would like both like two guys are banging on the ring, and they're just like boom 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 boom. There's something timeless, I think, about those movies with those one-liners, that it's entertainment, it's fun, it's not supposed to be completely real life, and people don't need to sound like they do in real life. It's okay if they say corny stuff. That's why David Caruso has a career.
I think a lot of people have careers because of that.
Well, you could sum up the 80s with pretty much the 80s cinema with movies like this, like the action movies and like John Hughes movies, and just a couple other things that like really like kind of age it. This movie, you could tell that it's an 80s movie just because of the feel of it. But, and that's not like, a wisecrack on it. It's just, it's a product of its time, and it's still like, it amazes me. The xenomorphs still look really good in this movie. Like, I love the practicality of it, man. The practical effects. I understand why people want more of it, and I understand that it's tough because it costs more money. You actually have to have a physical thing, and depending on the size of it, the bigger it gets, the more it costs, right? So I understand why CGI has taken over, but just seeing the giant alien queen, and it looked really cool. Oh, did you see like some of the scenes? And I laughed when I noticed it. There was a lot of scenes where that airship was coming down. You could tell that they were running away from a screen.
Yeah,
like you could see that there was like a screen in the background, and they were running away from that screen. But I just think it's so smart, man. They use what they have, and also I guess because they did create like an explosion like that, but that's like to keep the actors safe and whatnot. You don't want to have like a explosion with your actual actors right there. I just thought it was funny when I noticed the screens.
I didn't notice the screen, to be honest. I'm gonna have to check that out on rewatch. But I like you said, I love the practical effects. I think a big issue with practical is that you have to account for so much error. Like you're gonna have strings. Like I saw a couple aliens that were like being held up on strings and stuff. They were like 1 second shots, if that. It's just like the strings are there, but they do the best with what they can in a pre-CGI world. And one of my favorite shots in all of the Alien movies is when the alien comes out of the water behind Newt, and it just looks so sinister, and the tail comes up first, but you can tell the tail's being pulled up by a string. It's a gorgeous scene, it's a gorgeous shot, but you could tell, like, put your thinking cap on for a second, you can understand how this is being done on screen. And I think that is a good thing and a bad thing when it comes to practical, is that like it's harder to hide your mistakes, whereas CGI, you can engineer exactly what you want, basically.
Right.
And I think that's the big draw.
I feel like nowadays with the technology that is available, I think it would be easy. We've come a long way, especially with practical effects. I do think that we could get away, like it wouldn't look corny nowadays. Like we would make it look really good. And I agree. And wires, because there are instances where wire and harnesses are used, but there's a way that they do it to where it's edited out, or they're using something that's green so that they can just make it disappear in the background or whatever. But I do believe that practical effects, I think it boils down to not so much the error, but the cost. Maybe back in the day, but it's hard now. Like the way that, people are professionals now. I mean, not that they weren't back then, but we've gotten better at the craft since back in the day. And when we do see practical effects on the screen nowadays, it usually looks really good.
I don't disagree. Really quick, I was looking up that actress that played Vasquez. Her name is Jenette Goldstein. She's not Latina.
Oh.
She's not. She is Jewish. her
Man,
family.
she could have like fooled, like she had like that like New York.
There's one line where she says a Spanish word, and I'm like, she said that kind of weird. It was vamonos.
Yeah.
But like she said it a little bit anglicized, and it was a weird moment for me. I was just like, she looks so Spanish, but she said that weird. She said vamonos or something like that. And yeah, now I understand. So she does have the ethnic look to her because her family is from Brazil and Morocco. But yeah, she's Jewish. She's not Latina. I've been fooled.
Same.
Fool me once, shame on you.
We'll give it to her with the. I mean, you said Brazil. You know, that's South America. You know, that's
Sure.
close.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they speak Portuguese down there, but
Yeah, it's close enough. Guys, final thoughts on Aliens, unless you have something else you want to talk about. Anthony?
yeah, man, this was. I was excited to come back to this movie because I remember it being pretty fun, and that's exactly what it is. I remember it just being crazy action packed. Like, I didn't remember every single scene, but I just remember a lot of like shooting and explosions, and that's exactly what it was, a lot of shooting and explosions. And yeah, no, it was a fun time. So yeah, I'm glad that we're doing this series because it's given me a chance to kind of go back and watch some of these movies that I haven't seen in a long time. Like I said, I've seen 2 and 3 more than I've seen the first one. So going back to see the first one, it was definitely a treat. But yeah, it's a fun movie. If you haven't seen it, go and see it. I would suggest watching the first one just so that you have like the foundation, and then come to this. But yeah, no, it's fun. I enjoyed it.
Rich, throwing it over to you.
You know, I'm going to say something crazy and maybe offensive, but I almost think that you could jump into Aliens without seeing the first one and almost just kind of ride with it and be okay. I think that they give you enough of Ripley saying like, hey, this is a terrible idea, you know, we shouldn't do it. And that's very much a kind of 80s action movie tropey thing, you know, like even like Predator, like, yeah, I don't know, it sounds like a bad idea. You know, like so many of these movies start with like people going into that I think that you could be okay. Obviously, you're better served watching the first one, but I love this one.
Well, there's definitely be some holes for you there. Like, why is she being tried? You go into this movie, like, why is she in trouble? Why was she in cryosleep for 50 years? You
Wait,
know,
what was that? What was
happened?
That nightmare that she had?
Yeah, what is that nightmare that she
What
has?
just
Why is she
happened?
having? Yeah. So yeah, I would say go and watch this movie. If you haven't seen the Aliens movies at all, definitely go and watch that first one, because if you go into the second one, you might be a little confused. You know,
can
why
get
is she
by,
so
but-
reluctant to, go to these creatures? You know, like that. Like you definitely want to have that foundation. Dakota says that it is like the foundation for the entire series, but this movie's the foundation, or kind of like the template for the rest.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed this movie. It's a top 5 MCU movie for me. I think I'm going to side more on Anthony's perspective with this one, in terms of, I don't think this is one where you can just... Listen, you can pick up and watch whatever movie you want, and you'll be a little lost and you'll find your way. And I think this is one of those movies where you will find your way. It's not the most mind-bending movie you'll ever watch. You can figure it out. But you are going to miss out on much of Ripley's arc, which I think is important, because her character from the start of the first movie to the end of this movie is an entirely different beast. And I think Ripley as a character is just such a fun person to follow, because she was never meant to be an action hero, but action hero was thrust upon her, and she acquiesced.
Especially with the exoskeleton scene, man. Like that like
gosh.
you can't say that was an action hero-esque when she
my
threw
gosh.
down on the alien queen with that thing.
I thought she was going to rip it in half for a second, For the exoskeleton was super cool. Like, I don't know why we don't have those in real life. That looked like a functional, like, powerlifting suit. Like, am I wrong? It looked real.
Yeah, no, it did look real. I think that why does that not like exist? Because that definitely would help with heavy lifting with different things. Like you could, and it seemed like you could, like you could make it. You don't have to always use like the big pinchers. There's like kind of like the smaller ones on the inside. It looks practical.
It looked practical.
By the way, I looked it up. It's if anybody is interested, you guys can like search up some images. It's called Exo Squad, and that was a cartoon show with a line of toys where basically, I mean, I look, the timing of it, I want to say is it's got to be right after because it's so similar. Like these exoskeletons are super.
So
cool.
wait, when did Exo Squad come out? Because this came out in '86.
All right, so Exo Squad comes out in 1993.
Okay, so this is totally the coded into Exo Squad. Interesting. I don't think I've heard, maybe I have heard of Exo Squad.
The toys are particularly of interest to anybody interested. They are just so sweet. You have a figure that goes inside the suit, obviously, and then everyone has a different kind of suit, different color, different functions.
Beautiful.
Great stuff for your dog to chew up when you shoot on the floor.
Perfect. That's exactly what I need, is plastic chunks that I can cut into my foot when I walk out of the room. Guys,
Just throw some
thank
Legos down. It would be cheaper.
I know, right? She'll probably chew that too. Guys, thank you so much for listening to us here for our 132nd episode. Next week, we got another fun show, Alien 3. They're finally doing a proper, titling structure for this series. Alien 3. But it's actually stylized. It's Alien to the Third Power.
Oh.
I don't even know how to type that. So let's just call it Alien 3.
They should have put the 3 where the E is.
Oh, Alien
yes.
3N. Yeah, that would have been really, really smart. But anyway, we're covering Alien 3. We're gonna see what becomes of the remnants of the Sulaco. We have Ripley. We have Newt. We have Corporal Hicks, and who else? We got half of Bishop. That's who survived on this week's Project Ecology, and I'm sure they have a lot of adventures. All 4 of them come next week. Guys, if you want to check out any more of our socials or find out anything else that we're cooking up, please be sure to click into the show notes down below to figure out what we're doing there. Go follow us on all of our socials. And again, please be sure to give us a 5-star review. Make it crunchy, make it juicy, whatever you got to do. Just get it done. And yeah, guys, it's game over.
It's game over. And have a good week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.